From Boston, Massachusetts, to Adelaide, Australia, and everywhere in between. Talking local and national sports and just about anything discussed in a tavern. Broadcasting from South Lyon, Michigan. Welcome to Easy Speak at Speakeasy 330 with your hosts, Rich and Tom.
Good evening. Thank you, everyone that's tuning in and listening. I am your host, Tom, and bringing you another fun-filled adventure here tonight. Looking forward to this one. We're going to talk some Pistons basketball, something we haven't done there in a while. We're going to talk about the NBA draft lottery. The boys in blue got a little bit screwed. We'll talk about it. Lions' latest rumors and scenarios, we'll say. We're going to hit the NBA and NHL Conference Finals. Which program is in worse shape? Michigan State basketball? I'm sorry, Michigan State football or Michigan basketball? Both of them are kind of a train wreck these days. And we're going to unveil a new segment tonight called Rapid Fire. It should be some fun times. But we are going to welcome our other guests here tonight. And you're not going to believe who is with us tonight. Yes, Mr. Jasper, what is up, my friend?
Hey, I should say welcome back to myself on this one, huh?
Yeah. Oh, hold on.
Oh.
Welcome back. Yeah. You've had quite the weekend, haven't you?
Well, I've had quite the last couple of weeks, but yeah, this weekend I was in Battle Creek for baseball tournament. Drove out there Friday. Game was supposed to start at 6. They canceled the game at 6:45 due to rain and field conditions. Drove back home and then got up and they rescheduled the game for 9 o'clock Saturday morning. So I had to get up early, drive. So we played 3 games yesterday. Unfortunately, unsuccessful in all 3 games. We lost the first 2 games by a total of 4 runs, 2 games in each one. I think it was 11-9 and 7-5, I believe. And then we played the first round bracket. We were an 8 seed, played against the number 1 seed, which happened to be a team that is ranked, I don't know, I'd probably say in the top 15 in the state of Indiana.
Okay.
They were like a AAA majors team, and we're just a community team, just a single A. Dude, we gave them hell. We came out in the first inning, put up 6 runs in the first inning. Their coaches were going crazy, yelling at kids. I think they figured they were going to just steamroll, but we ended up losing 14-8. Ryan had a great weekend. He got so at the end of each game, the conclusion of each game, the opposing team gets to select MVPs of the opposite team in those games. The second game, he made I'll have to show you the video, but made a play, diving catch at short and doubled off the kid. And then in the last game, he was given the MVP as well. So he got 2 MVP scorecards for the weekend. The second one he got was he absolutely hit a nuke for a triple. And then they brought him in to pitch and didn't give up a run. I think he got 3 strikeouts, I think, in the 1 inning and a half of work he did. So he did good.
Cool. Very cool.
But,
and you got 2 MVPs?
Yeah, he's got 2 MVPs of it.
Nice.
So, yeah.
That's nice.
So, yeah, he was jazzed up, but, I couldn't be more. I mean, obviously, I'm proud of him for how he played, but I'm more ecstatic of how the boys on the team. I'm an assistant coach, so to see us go and every game we got down, but we never gave up. We battled back every game, and I tell you, if we could just cut the errors out, we'd probably win a lot more games than what we have. I think we're 5-10. I think right now, so.
It'll come in time.
But we'll get better. So,
yep.
But I'm excited to be back. It's been a couple weeks, obviously, and I think I kind of popped in on the last show. We talked about my moving, I should say, in the process of moving and stuff like that, new house. So it's been pretty busy. So tonight I had the opportunity. I figured I'd hop on and let's talk some sports.
Well, we're glad to have you back, and you know what that sound means.
Oh yeah.
You know who's coming up. The one, the only, JP the Giant. What is up, my friend?
What is going on, fellas? Good to be
Oh.
back in the house.
Yeah, it's good to be back in the speakeasy. This is the first time we've gone live in the actual speakeasy. So people get a chance wondering what's the deal with the name of the show? What's the Speakeasy 330 aspect of it? Well, here we are. We're in it. This is actually Rich and I's COVID creation. All the bars were closed, so we made our own bar. And it's been kind of evolving for the past 3 years. It's got a life of its own. It's been a lot of fun. So early, renditions of the show when we first launched 3 years ago.
Has it been that long?
Been 3 years. Yep.
Wow. Time flies.
We used to broadcast out of here every week, but slowly but surely things changed, and we had a great weather day. And I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna lug all the equipment outside, and we're gonna bring it back old school. And here we are. So excited to get this thing underway. But before we start, we have had a pretty good uptick of viewers and followers, and we are very thankful for that. We started posting some reels, getting some quick little snippets of the show out there for people that really don't want to spend an hour of their time watching it, so they get an idea of what we're all about and some of the knowledge that we bring to the table. So that's getting a lot of positive attention. So that's cool. We just want to thank everybody that's tuned in, everybody that's listening, and adds to the show, comments. We really appreciate it in helping us get this show bigger and better. Specifically, last week we had a Mexican food segment, which was a huge hit. Got lots of great submissions that we are definitely going to be taking a weekend and checking out these places. And then specifically, I want to, thank Anthony Bonk, who's of Evie's Tamales. He has been very generous, offering us to come down, and we will be doing that very shortly. I will be getting with him and setting up plans. But to everybody that gave submissions, it was awesome, and we're thankful that you guys took the time out of your day on Twitter and did that. So we're going to get this thing rolling. And we had an unfortunate loss in the NFL world this week. The Cleveland Browns legendary running back Jim Brown. My dad is a Cleveland Brown fan, and he was pretty emotional when he found out the news. Obviously, he grew up watching him play, and being from the state of Ohio, he was a Browns fan. So, kind of took him back to his childhood era. You don't realize players like him, they're like godlike in a sense. You don't ever think that they're going to die. And when they pass away, it's big news. So we'll start with you, Rich. What is your take on Jim Brown? I know you got some things you want to say about him.
In the pre-show, you guys told me not to talk about that, so I'm not
we'll
going to.
keep that one. We'll keep that one.
We'll keep that one under wraps.
Yeah, that's a pre-show.
Yeah,
but no, I mean, really, I didn't start digging into Jim Brown until probably like 1993, 1994, when he was the color commentator for the first 6 UFC pay-per-views. I've been watching UFC from the beginning, but yeah, he was one of those iconic voices when it came to the UFC in the beginning. Did I think he was great at it? No, but that was a voice that you could, when it first started up, his voice was the likeness of the UFC.
Mm-hmm.
And then you dig into some of the statistics behind him, and what he overcame. He was a civil rights activist. He was a movie star. I guess you want to call it a movie star, but he appeared in over 50 different television shows and movies. He was a first-round draft pick in 1957, 6th overall.
That was the last year the Lions won a Super Bowl or
Yeah,
an NFL championship.
an NFL championship.
Yeah.
But with that or whatever, I mean, the guy he put some. He didn't play very long. His career would have spanned till he was about 30. Is that what
He played 10 years?
Yeah, so he played 10 years. I mean, in 10 years, he averaged 1,200 yards a season. If you look at it, rushing yards, because he had 12,300 something rushing yards. So
and less games than they play now.
Yeah, less games. But no, I mean, the guy, he was good at his craft. We'll just say that.
Yep. JP, I know you're the resident encyclopedia of the Easy Speak podcast.
The historian.
Yes. Share some words that you uncovered about Jim Brown.
Yeah, so obviously Jim Pioneer, one of the well-respected people, and all. Guy lived till he was 87 years old, led the NFL in rushing 8 of the 9 seasons that he played. Retired rather early. He was only 30 years old when he retired. As Rich said, he became an actor, over 50 films. Was actually a social activist and leader, first generation of black athletes that were allowed to participate in sports, which is pretty iconic. He was the founder of American program, teaching management skills to young men in the streets and in the prison. So, and will obviously leave a lasting legacy for my generation and generations to follow.
Yeah, good words there, JP. He's a lot like Bill Russell was, the superstar NBA player that recently just passed. Just legendary on the court. He was very proactive off the court with civil rights. So Jim Brown is just one of those guys that, and we know around here famously for Barry Sanders' father saying, "He ain't as good as Jim Brown," about when Barry had his 2,000-yard season. So, I mean, just legendary, and like you said, 10 years in the NFL and Hall of Famer, and big time loss for the NFL, for the Cleveland Browns, and I'm sure the team will put something together this upcoming season for them. They'll probably have his number on the field or something like that. So well said, guys. Just wanted to hit on that really quick. Obviously, it's a big news maker this week. And it is near and dear to my heart. Like I said, my dad being a Browns fan, I wanted to kind of give a shout out to Dad. I know we were texting back and forth, and I kind of broke the news to him. So I wanted to do that for him. So Dad, love you. And that was for you. And we are going to move on. We're going to talk about some Pistons. Believe it or not, we're going to talk Pistons here.
Mason.
Draft lottery. Man, is it time for something new? Because you have a 17-win team that gets the 5th pick. And they were the worst team in the NBA by 6 games. And you have the same percentage opportunity than the next 2 teams, which I don't see how that's fair. Obviously, I have opinions that probably are far stretched, but I can't imagine how the lottery, and as you saw in the NHL, where of course Jonathan Taves is going to retire, Chicago needs a new superstar facing the franchise. Here's Connor Bedard. So there you go. So JP, we'll start with you. What is your take on the draft lottery? Does it really help the teams that need it the most?
I'm kind of a little indifferent about the rule. I know that obviously teams are tanking, and the rule is put in place to guard against just that. I mean, you're automatically guaranteed a top 5 pick. Of course, in Detroit's luck, you end up at 5.
Yeah,
I know Troy Weaver Troy Weaver's putting it out there, and he's making it seem like they're excited about the pick and that they're also open for business for anybody that wants to come get the pick. I wrote down some
foreshadowing there.
Yeah, so I came up with some fifth picks here since the 2017 draft. So back in 2017, the number 5 pick, De'Aaron Fox of the Kings, pretty good. 2018, Trae Young was drafted by the Hawks. It was actually involved in a trade between him and Luka. I think Dallas won out on that deal.
Wow.
2019, Darius Garland was drafted by the Cleveland Cavaliers. 2021, Jalen Suggs for the Magic. And then last year, of course, Jaden Ivey. So, I mean, there's been some pretty good value for that pick over the last drafts, as you see. Then, as he said, they're open for business, and they may be looking to trade some guys. I know Pascal Siakam is a guy out there for Toronto who has an expiring deal that maybe they can package some picks up for. For The Athletic, there was an article that came out that maybe Bogey, Alex Burks, Wiseman, and the 5th pick for Siakam, kind of a haul. Then maybe a guy like R.J. Barrett for the Knicks, who played really well in the playoffs this year and can play some defense. I know Tom kind of feels indifferent about him, but I think he's a guy that would be good here and would fit.
He's got a huge upside, but it's either he's really good or he's really bad. There's no middle ground with Barrett, and he proved that in that playoff run. When he was good, man, he was good. But consistently, it would have to take the right pick for me to feel comfortable giving up that high of a draft pick.
Yeah.
But you put him on the court with this young talent that we have. Maybe he's the missing link that they need. I don't know. I think they need a lot more than one. So I would hope that they were looking for, maybe 2 or 3 NBA ready players or players that are on the verge of being ready to make their mark. So we'll see. That was actually my next question I had for you, but you beat me to the punch, obviously, because you have
my my thing is do we trust the scouting of Weaver? It's look at his first class with Bay and Killian Hayes and I think Beef Stew. I mean, he hasn't really produced in a draft class yet.
You liked what he did early on. He came in and just started cleaning house. There was a lot of dead weight on this team. He cleared the cupboards, which, that's what you want. There's a big mess that was left. Let's come in here and let's clear it out and let's rebuild. But that rebuilding it's been a little hit or miss, and I agree. Even the Cade Cunningham pick at number 1, obviously he was the guy at that point with that draft, so you almost had to. But we're going into year 3, and he hasn't played a full season, so it makes you wonder. Rich, what's your take on the NBA draft lottery, and do you see it as something that really is good?
I see JP laugh, and JP knows exactly what's coming out of my mouth. If with hockey and NBA with the draft lottery, I'm gonna kind of touch on this a little bit with the hockey one. I didn't watch the NBA one because I think I was driving a moving truck around, and I think I was texting you guys what I missed. So I didn't get to watch it.
I was so excited to see JP shotgun. I mean, I had everything ready. It was ready to hit the go live. But then I was very disappointed.
And then it didn't happen. But the thing is, it's like, you look at the NHL. The way the NHL did it is they came in and they had a stack of cards already made out. It's like, dude, give me the ping pong balls. If you want it to be if you want to make it a real draft lottery, put all the teams in there. Everybody gets one ball, and you pick them out. You pick them out as the first round's going.
Mm-hmm.
You want it to be a draft lottery. You want it to be a surprise. You want to. I mean, that's what it is. And here's the thing that really irritates me about the NBA is the thought process behind, JP, you kind of touched on it, the last the last couple years of the 5th round pick. Those guys now are producing and they're performing, but back in 2017 they weren't. But and if you look at it, look how many guys that were selected before them who might not be playing up to that. And I just think the NBA is everybody's so focused on the one guy, the one impact player, because that's what people want to see. They want to see the immediate impact that a guy is going to have in the transition from college to professional ranks.
Right.
So that's, so in spirit of being a draft lottery, I think if you're going to do it, you put all 30 teams in and
full
say,
transparency. Yeah.
Yep, and just do it like the 7 o'clock lottery that they have when they draw numbers for the 3 and 4 digit every night.
Deloitte and Touche used to do that. They would be there to witness it, and I mean, you would watch them. The ball would come up and like, oh, Detroit Pistons. I don't know. I'm not a fan.
It's horse shit. I'll be honest with you. It's all horse shit. And what it is you look at it. Detroit is not a large market team. At one time they were. At one time they were a major draw. Just right now, all Detroit sports is not. The Lions are really the only team that's a draw right now, and that gets national attention. But when you look past the Lions, really, there's no buzz.
No.
And when you think about it, the Spurs got the number 1, draft picked overall, which they're going to make that selection. And the thing is you think about it, and we kind of talked about it. They had David Robinson. And then David Robinson, right before he was getting ready to call it quits, bam, in comes Tim Duncan. And Tim Duncan now they're going to get this guy, and it's going to be almost like a resurgence of.
They've had two or three years of lackluster, not San Antonio Spurs-esque basketball. Basketball. So what sounds good? A generational center that's going to build this team up.
And San Antonio is not a huge market, but they've always produced good teams.
Yeah, that's true. But I one thing I will say with the Pistons, they do have a good core of young players, a really, really good talent, but it's going to take the right coach. Obviously, they haven't made that decision yet. And in the last couple of weeks, we've had 3 really good coaches get let go, 2 of which were rather surprising. Budenholzer and Monty Williams. The third being Doc Rivers, who I don't know. He couldn't get it done with the Clippers. Obviously, he couldn't get it done with the 76ers. So I'm not sure if he would be the right fit. JP, who do you see out there, whether it be the coaches I mentioned or some of these young guys, some of these talented young bench coaches, who's the right fit for this team that could really get them on the right track?
My opinion personally, I like a guy like Monty Williams. He was a longtime assistant coach. His overall record in the NBA is 80 games over 500. He's actually the odds-on favorite by Gambler.com at plus 150 right now. He has a 46-27 record in the playoffs. Coach of the Year 2022, and that it's kind of a mess in Phoenix. You can't really blame them. I think that a few coaches have been fired unjustly, obviously. I think Durant, call it what you want, he's kind of overrated in my opinion. I think Ayton's a little overrated. Chris Paul was banged up. Ayton was banged up. I don't think he really had a fair shake this year. Yeah, so I really like Monty Williams, and I really like Monty Williams, and I think that he'd be a steal for anybody.
Yeah, real quick, as far as Monty Williams goes, it just came out that KD and who's their guard? Who's their superstar guard?
Devin Booker.
Devin Booker. I'm drawing a blank here. They were very. They were the ones that pushed for him to be fired, which was a big surprise for me. I couldn't believe that, your 2 top players would actually Yeah. Thanks, Brandon. I was drawing a blank. It's crazy. It's been a long day, but I was surprised that you would hear, your two top players would be the ones instrumental in having your coach fired. I just think that's crazy. But go ahead.
Yeah, and it's like I said, it's kind of a shitty situation. It's like that in most NBA franchises right now, and I think that would be a huge get for the Pistons.
Yeah.
You mentioned Cade not being out of the lineup the last couple seasons off and on. I think that he has a nagging injury that he's taken care of now. So, and I expect big things from him next season. So I think if they can get the right coach in here and maybe add a couple more pieces, it's going to be tough in free agency, like you said, because this doesn't have the allure of LA or Miami, but
yeah,
Monty Williams is my guy.
Yeah, I mean that it's a good pick. It's a safe pick, and like you said, it's somebody that's kind of gone up the ranks. He's got the experience, and maybe working with some younger guys, not having to worry about getting picked off by your top players. Maybe that would work well for him. So we will see. Time will tell. So we're going to move on to the next topic tonight. The aforementioned lovable Leos, the Pontiac Pussycats, as Mr. Jasper likes to call them. Some rumors, maybe some scenarios, perhaps an unfair ESPN power rankings, maybe
Unfair. They're drinking the Kool-Aid as well, just like everybody else. Like everybody else on this screen right now, we're all drinking that Kool-Aid.
Oh, no question.
It's cold. It's sweet.
Yep.
It's tasty.
Like I said last week, it's blue, and I do not like blue Kool-Aid, but I do like the Honolulu and blue Kool-Aid. It just hits differently. So it came out this week that DeAndre Hopkins might not be an Arizona Cardinal for too much longer. Maybe he's asking for too much. Possibly Arizona's going to cut him. And a lot of grumblings that maybe the Detroit Lions are a possible landing spot for good old D-Hop. JP, thoughts about that? Would he help this team? Or would it be a scenario where he might be a cancer in the clubhouse?
I'm out on him. He's missed 15 games over the last 2 years to various different reasons. 31 years old. He's owed $30 million for the next 2 seasons. He hasn't had a 1,000-yard receiving season since 2020. I'm out on him. He's on the decline to me.
Yeah. It seemed like either him or Kyler Murray were going out last year. So they were never on the same page. And let's face it, Kyler Murray's a whole story by itself. Rich, what do you think? Would D-Hop be a good fit here, or would he kind of go against everything that Brad Holmes has pretty much built so far since he's been here?
He would definitely probably bring a different element to the game on the field. However, I don't think that is necessarily going to mesh with the personnel that they have in place right now. I don't think that I don't think it'd be really conducive to the team. Would it be nice to have the first 6 weeks of the season and then just kind of get rid of them after that? Yeah, it'd probably be pretty good.
It'd be an expensive 6 weeks.
It'd be a very expensive 6 weeks. But with that being said, do we really shake the boat when we really got a good thing going, right? That's kind of my thing. Is it going to hurt not having JMO there? Absolutely. But however, we did pretty well last year without him in the first.
I was going to say we wouldn't really know, would we?
Yeah.
We did pretty well the first half of the season. Right. He did obviously he did have some flashes that we expect to see out of him. But I think that our play calling will be good. I think Marvin Jones Jr. is going to be an integral piece to that offense this year.
He's
whether
DJ
or not JMO's there or not. So yeah,
he's DJ Chark. It's the same type of receiver. Is familiar with this team. So I
More durable.
yeah, I think he'll be, then you got Reynolds and obviously you got Sam Laporta that you just drafted. So Ben Johnson is the offensive guru. He'll put the right scenarios together. Brandon says Hopkins would fit of course.
Of course, yeah.
I am not surprised that
Yeah.
Mr. Brandon Chain would think that he would fit really good with the Titans. Just newsflash: Brandon Chains is a Titan season ticket holder. So yes, that makes full sense. That
sound the siren.
They could use the help for sure. But here's a name that I've seen thrown around. I've seen thrown around the last couple of days, and
and everybody's shaking their head no.
I want nothing to do with it. Obviously, these guys know where I'm going with this because it's on our show script. Kenny Galladay, who had, six catches in 2 seasons with the Giants. I keep reading these stories that he would be a perfect fit for the Detroit Lions. Been there, done that.
Can I give you an analogy of this one?
No.
It's like when you were a kid and you would steal a bottle of Southern Comfort and you drink half the fifth of Southern Comfort and you puke your brains out and you're like, I'm never drinking that again.
Yep.
Kenny Galladay falls into the same stories. Like, listen, hey, I've gone down that road before. I'm just not interested anymore. That's what Kenny
Galladay. Good analogy. We've all been there.
That's what Kenny Galladay is. Everybody has prayed that they would never drink something again, and ours just happens to be Kenny Galladay. We don't want anything to do with it.
I have actual audio of Kenny Galladay when he went to New York and then saw the offense that the Detroit Lions are putting together. Actual audio.
No, you know what? I'm going to tell you right now. We always talk about how well Brad Holmes is smart on certain things. Man, he really hit the nail on the head with this one, letting this guy walk, because he has done absolutely nothing. And nothing.
Nope.
And that's it.
Shout out to all the national news outlets that link to Detroit to everybody in the offseason. Lamar Jackson, everybody.
Yeah.
Well, because they saw Lamar riding on one of those scooters, one of those whatever you call them in the city on a random weekday that he was. I don't even know if that was him, but everybody was like, Lamar's to Detroit, book him.
It's like breaking news. Jameson Williams liked Lamar Jackson's tweet. And then, the Lions are a likely spot to land Lamar Jackson.
Listen, I liked all of his tweets too, but you don't see them saying, hey, check it out. Rich is going to
look
Detroit.
at it.
Like, hey, okay.
Breaking news.
We're all out on Kenny Galladay.
Patrick Mahomes rumored to the Lions because he went to Lafayette, Coney Island. Look it. Give me a break.
Hey, breaking news. Yeah, Mahomes to Detroit because he got drafted by the Tigers.
Oh, I'm telling you. These media guys are just, I guess.
Terrell Owens at 48 is making a comeback to the Lions.
Yeah. Wait. Is this confirmed?
This broke.
T.O.
is he Owens will be doing a workout with the Detroit Lions.
Antonio Brown's coming too. Crazy.
Yeah.
Oh,
he's playing arena football.
Yeah, the team he owns.
Because nobody else wants him.
No.
I wonder if he's going to run a route in those clown shoes.
Oh man, I tell you.
Maybe come to the game in the clown car too.
Oh yeah. He'll play without a shirt on, I guarantee it. And then he'll be the halftime performance. He'll be rapping or whatever. But
let me say one more thing before we close this one out. I would rather take the top receiver of the Michigan Panthers than Kenny Galladay.
Ooh, that's
a
bold statement. Can we name the top receiver of the Michigan Panthers?
No, I have no idea.
I don't either. I don't either. All right, moving on. So as we all know, the Lions kind of got kicked a little bit for taking Jack Campbell. number 18 in the first round. He was going to be there in the second round. They could have waited, blah, blah, blah. He's a hell of a player, Butkus Award winner. But with that draft pick, what does that exactly mean for possibly the future of Malcolm Rodriguez? Or is playtime going to get diminished, JP? What do you think about that?
I mean, you drafted linebacker at pick 18. I think you kind of got to start him regardless, right? And worst comes to worst with Rodrigo, you just add another depth guy.
Yeah.
I mean, he had 80 tackles last year. He played over 50% of the snaps.
And he missed some games too.
Missed some games. He didn't really have that necessarily high of a grade with PFF. It was 62.8. So, I mean, obviously, I think Jack Campbell, you're upgrading at the position. And he was a 6th-round pick, and you hit on him. You got some production out of him. He's still with the team. I'm sure that whatever role you put him in, he's going to go out there and he's going to play. And then Anzalone and Campbell, they're only one snap away from getting hurt. So
right, yeah. I think. Yeah, I mean, I look as Campbell as Anzalone's replacement next year. I don't see him. I mean, maybe a year, at most 2 more years at the team. We'll see, but that could be a replacement here. Rich, do you see any scenarios where they maybe even look to possibly move on with Rodriguez, or is this a guy that's fully part of their future moving forward?
It kind of touch on what JP said. Yeah, he was a 6th-round pick. It's a feel-good story. You know what I mean? Nobody would have known who he was if he didn't pretty much shine in the HBO special, right? Hard Knocks. I mean, he really showed out on that. His stats show that's who he is.
Yeah.
He is going to be a depth guy, whether he's with Detroit or with any other team. You draft a guy at 18, he's coming in day one and he's going to be your starter. That's why they picked him at 18, right? Because they believe that's where they have him at.
Mm-hmm.
He's a depth guy, and we know all too well in the NFL, you need depth at every position. He's got a year. He's got a year under his belt in the system, so he understands the schemes. He understands the system. He's a great bench guy. He's probably a hell of I mean, I've never heard anybody say one bad thing about him. He's probably a hell of a guy in the locker room.
Mm-hmm.
He's a personality. He's a personality that you need.
Well, just look at the
game day outfits in the league.
Oh yeah,
yes.
It's just you want that guy in your locker room.
Yeah, and and that's the thing is he is going to be a guy that when you need to put him in, he's not going to be running around not knowing where he's going.
Sure,
he's not going to be like Bobby Boucher when he doesn't know how to play football and he goes and
Bobby Boucher,
goes and drop kicks somebody. So I'm okay with it. I really am, and hopefully he sticks around. And I mean, I think he kind of gets an idea where his role is. So
I look at Campbell being drafted as somewhat confidence in their secondary and their front guys. I think the fact that they did go linebacker so high tells me that they're confident and where they're at right now. And that yes, it was a bold pick. It was a bold pick, but they feel confident. They feel confident enough that this is the right guy that's going to kind of put that defense over the top. So I agree with you guys. I think this is definitely a depth move. Plus, you have Barnett, who's coming in on his 3rd year, so he's young. So you're going to have healthy guys being rotated in and out, which isn't exactly a bad idea to have with a football team that's ready to roll. So, I think Rodrigo's probably safe. So moving on here, ESPN released their first power rankings. The Lions were at number 13. I think that's surprisingly low for them, seeing all the big hype train behind the Lions. So to see that the ESPN says 13, yet they're playing Kansas City Chiefs in week 1, 4 total primetime games, potentially 5, and then they come in at ranked 13. I'm not sure that was exactly the right pick. Rich, where do you think the right number for the Lions is, or did they get it right?
I honestly think and feel that that's probably about right where they're at. Me personally, I don't want them to hype them up because I'd like to have them come in this season with not a big ego and just come in and handle business and do work. That's my motto on that. I think once you start giving them the power rankings in the top 5 or the top 10, that's where players tend to maybe get too full of themselves or too big on themselves. Me personally, I think 13 is probably fine. And I think throughout the course of the season that they're going to increase that, or they could go the other way. It all depends, right? Any given Sunday. So,
yeah, that's true. JP, what do you think? Is this a right position, or do you think they kind of got jogged here a little bit?
Well, my first initial thoughts were they had a couple teams in front of them that they beat last year. I think that they could have jumped Pittsburgh and the Jets, who were 8, 9, and 8 respectively. I see why they had all the other teams. All the other teams in front of them were playoff teams last year. You can argue that maybe they're ahead of the Giants, but I think it's respectable. I'm sure that they were probably at the back of the pack last year, so it's a hell of a jump. And I think that if they want to move up into that top 10 and keep going, then just go out there and prove it this year.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like QB1 mentioned, it's a prove it, which I kind of agree with that. I don't think they want to go, all in, we'll say, on the river with the Lions until they see, what happens in the first, couple weeks of the season. So
that first game right there, they go into Kansas City, and whether they win or lose, if they lose and they keep it close, right?
Yeah.
I think it's a morale victory. As I say, I'm still not going to accept it, but it's a morale victory, and it will put people on notice or if they go in and win, and some heads will scratch, and they'll realize, hey, this team is legit. This team's for real, right?
Yeah. I mean, it'll be a good barometer. I think the spread right now, which obviously we're months upon months away. Kansas City's a 7-point favorite. I see that number coming down because I think a lot of people are going to put a lot of money on the Lions to cover that. So, but it's definitely exciting. This is the first year and I don't know. I can't remember where the Lions are. We're talking about the Lions here in May, almost in June. So it's exciting. Hyping it up. So maybe I agree with the 13. We'll see. All right, we are going to switch gears and talk about the NBA Conference Finals going on. Ooh, trouble in LA. And Miami seems to
trouble in Boston too.
Yeah, Boston.
Miami's taking it to them right now.
Gave up a big lead in Game 2, specifically the fourth quarter, when we saw this happen. This right there. I will be the first to say.
Yeah,
I will say this right now. I need Jimmy Butler's face here on a T-shirt. That absolutely has to happen.
I'm sure we could probably find it.
The look on his face when he did that, which we will throw it up here momentarily. It was great. It was great.
Shot made by Williams, and look at the words already. Williams and Jimmy.
I love it. I love that look. He's like, oh yeah, and then they start, like there are a couple of Rams here, but after this happened, I can say that Jimmy Butler went crazy. And he took it as a challenge to prove that he is the better player. And they go on and win the game. So we will start there in Boston and Miami. Big game. Like you said, Jimmy Butler, Tatum. Obviously, he's doing it every night for Boston. 30 points the first 2 games, 34 in game 3. He seems to be the only one on the court that is carrying them. Meanwhile, you're getting production off the bench, specifically Duncan Robinson, our main man from the University of Michigan, hit 3 absolute clutch threes in the fourth quarter that kind of kept Miami in striking distance. And then Jimmy Butler went on to go ahead and do his thing that led them. JP, is it Dunzo in Beantown? Obviously, the Miami's got a pretty good lead right now.
Oh,
At halftime.
they're smoking them right now. They're smoking them right now.
Yeah, it's Dunzo, and let me be the first one to say in the last episode that I thought the Celtics were going to steamroll the Heat. So
I did too.
I was completely off on this one. It looks like Boston's going to go down 3-0, and despite Jason Tatum leading all scorers in the playoffs and points, it's just been rough go for him. Jaylen Brown not doing very much, shooting 38%, 15% from deep. You got Butler tearing it up. He's shooting 48%, and Bam, he's tearing it up. They're just they can't match the intensity of Miami right now. And I think Eric Spoelstra is just showing again that how elite of a coach he is. Look right now, there might not be a better coach than Spoelstra in the NBA.
No, I agree with you. And looking at the Celtics coach, he's a rookie coach. Hell of a season for him this year. But when it comes down to it, those matchups, game 1, Miami was down by 12 at halftime. They come out in the third quarter and they outscore Boston 46-25. That's coaching. That's going into halftime and saying, this is what we got to do. We're going to do this X, Y, and Z. And man, they bought into it. Game 2, they're down in the fourth. And Spoelstra just pulls out some magic. He puts, like I said, Duncan Robinson in the game. Huge threes, gets them right there, just makes the right decision. Rich, I know you haven't been following a whole lot, but do you think this is a situation where coaching is absolutely the X factor in this season? It's a series.
Yeah, coaches are the ones who are pretty much analyzing every aspect of the game, whether it's after the game or it's during the game, and Miami's just making the appropriate adjustments when they need to do it and how they need to do it. If you look, my head keeps going up and down looking because I'm actually watching the game right now.
61-49.
And I don't watch basketball. I'm not a basketball, but this one right here, I mean, you hear so much about how great Boston is and how Miami's at 8 seed and everything like that. This just goes to show you, and it honestly, this is kind of like when we talk about the NHL. NHL is so unpredictable when it comes to the playoffs. You look at it, a team gets in as the 8 seed or a wild card seed. When you look at things like that, I mean, a lot of it is coaching, but let's face the facts. I mean, Miami's been a perennial powerhouse when they get into playoffs.
Yeah,
they've always seemed to be able to hang with anybody who's there. So I'm not surprised that Miami is doing as well as they are, but it's playoffs, man. It's win or go home, right?
I'm going to put this image back on the screen.
I love that image.
That look on Jimmy's face tells the whole story. He didn't get rattled. He kind of laughed it off. He is probably the most underrated superstar in the NBA. He lets his play dictate his actions. He's not going to get mouthy. Yeah, he bumped, heads with Williams and then just gave him a smile. He didn't let it rattle him. He didn't let it rattle him. 66-51, 10.5 to play in the third.
And Boston's had Miami's number in the playoffs, so I think Miami's the ones coming in with the extra motivation, and everybody's been counting them out. So, and they're playing with the chip on their shoulder.
He's tearing them up right now.
You have experience with Adebayo, with Kyle Lowry, who actually had a donut in the second game, no points. But I think his leadership, his ability to come on with the second unit and kind of lead so they don't have much of a fall off when Jimmy goes off. So I think this is a complete team, and watch out, because I don't know if you can bet against Miami going up against potentially the Denver Nuggets, who
Yep.
took a 3-goal lead last night against the Lakers, who looked absolutely dead in the fourth quarter. And this is kind of a weird series. All the questions were, how is Anthony Davis going to hold up? Is he going to be able to match with LeBron? Anthony Davis is the only one on this team that seems to be doing anything. LeBron looks old. He looks tired. Maybe that ankle injury in game 1 is affecting him. But one thing I do notice more from LeBron, he seems to be shooting the 3 a lot, and he seems to be missing it a lot. So a playoff game, LeBron James to only come down with 23 points, albeit he had 12 assists, which is it's very high output. That's concerning for the Lakers. And then on the flip side, you've got great players helping out off the bench. Former Piston Bruce Brown, go figure. Then you also have a former Piston, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, who's in the starting rotation, who's making noise. Then obviously you have the best player in the world, Nikola Jokic, who is, I think we can all agree, he should have been the MVP 3rd time in a row. But it's doom and gloom in LA. And is this signs that LeBron might be slowing down with his age, or where are we at with the Lakers here, JP?
I think the Lakers are done. I think it's going to be a clean sweep. He just looks down the stretch missing layups and breakaway dunks, and he just looks old. And they're trying to force Anthony Davis the ball. Obviously, he's their best player, but they're just getting out rebounded. They're getting outshot heavily from the 3-point line. Jamal Murray has gone completely nuclear in this series. He's over 30 points per game in each of the 3 games. It almost seems like he can't miss. And then, like you said,
he was on fire in the, I think it was the 3rd quarter. He just he looked like Steph Curry there for
every time
about
he
5
shoots,
minutes.
every time he jacks him up, you're like, all right, it's going in. And then, like you said, Bruce Brown, and they got Bruce Brown and KCP coming off. And this game and this series has been personal for KCP, who was a former Laker who was let go. So,
well, wasn't he in some kind of trouble with the law where he couldn't go to certain areas?
There were the issues.
That might have played a role. But yeah, I agree. He probably is holding a grudge.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's over for the Lakers, in my opinion. Denver looks tough, man, and I just don't. It's going to be interesting to see if Miami makes it to the next round and they play Denver, because that's going to be one hell of a matchup, man. And Jokic, outside of game 1, they've thrown tons of different defenders at him. He really hasn't. He hasn't been trying to force the game. He finds the open guys. Guys are knocking down the shots. He hasn't taken over the series or had to by himself. So
and that's what I was going to say. Up until that 4th quarter, Jokic was really quiet. I think he only had like 11 points up until that 4th, and then he ended up with, I think, 14 in the 4th quarter. So he kind of woke up, started pushing his weight around a little bit. I will say one thing. I think the Lakers got
his cock clean.
Yep, they're getting their cock clean.
Well, don't forget that Jokic was in foul trouble last game, so he spent a lot of time on the bench. So they kind of figured out a way to get it done without him.
Yeah, and that's scary. That's scary for anyone looking to play the Nuggets. Rich, hype train, obviously, with the Lakers. Going into this series, they were the favorites to win it all, which I couldn't believe that. You got a team that got in basically through the playing game. Are you looking at maybe the end, like we talked about last week with Golden State being maybe on their way out? Are the Lakers a team that their window of opportunity might be closing here?
I honestly, I think the window of opportunity is slammed shut. I just think they are. LeBron, is he still a great player? Yeah, he's still a great player, but I don't think he has the I'm not going to say the drive. Every player's got that drive to win. However, I think the grind of the game is getting to him, and I think they need to they need to manage his workload a little bit. But in
Yeah.
order to manage his workload, they need to put people around him to
Yeah.
where if he's not in the lineup, they can still be successful or competitive. And if he's not in there, they're on. They could double up Anthony Davis and get nothing. And so and they pay a lot of money. They pay a lot of money to these players. Maybe they're paying a lot of money to these players who really don't deserve that type of money.
You hit it. As much as that's kind of gotten a knock in the NBA, workload management, teams take a heat. LeBron's almost 39 years old. He's been in the league for almost 21 years. And he's been in the playoffs damn near every year, except for a couple. So his seasons have been grinding out long and long and long. And to his credit, he doesn't take plays off. As much of not a fan of LeBron, he gives it 110%, but he might not be able to take it 110% anymore. And if they need to succeed, they have to find somebody, like you said, that when he goes and sits, they can rely on, and they just don't have that right now. Austin Reeves is not the answer. They don't have anybody that could, be feared, we'll say, that can come in and fill his role.
A lot of that goes back to, teams. Teams go on a stretch where they're really good for a while, and then they just have to tear it down.
Yeah,
they have to tear it down. They have to start. I'm not necessarily saying start over, but they need to tear it down. And there's going to be a couple seasons where it's going to hurt.
sure.
But it's going to put. But then, you take a couple of seasons where it's going to hurt you. Then, as long as you do your due diligence, do your scouting correct, you get the right puzzle pieces together, then that's when you can make a run. And I just think all they're doing is they're backfilling their roster with a lot of older players who they're trying to get as much as they can out of the older players, and I think they just don't have enough to give. I mean, that's my personal opinion.
No faith in Wolverine, Rob Pelinka?
No, none at all.
Rob Lowe? He's Rob Lowe. I don't care what anybody says. And let's keep in mind, they did win an NBA championship in the bubble.
They did.
And the Lakers have LeBron for one more year, because in 2 more years, his kid is going to be draft eligible, and he's already said he's going to sign wherever he goes, which I think is ridiculous. But that's
I don't fault the guy for wanting to play maybe a season with his boy. I mean, I don't fault him at all.
No.
Who does he think he is? His boy, Ken Griffey Jr.? I don't think so. He'd be lucky to make it in the NBA, in my opinion. But all right, well, we hit the NBA, and now we are going to hit on the unbelievable NHL Conference Finals. Every game so far in this round has gone to overtime. The Panther Hurricane game 1, 19 minutes and 50 seconds into the not 1, not 2, not 3, but the 4th overtime. Matthew Tkachuk. Well, let me just show you.
Brent Burns with 15. Bennett keeps the puck alive. Tkachuk with a shot. He scores! Matthew Tkachuk.
Dude, let me tell you, I just got my opinion about Tkachuk. He reminds me of some of the players such as Brendan Shanahan, such as Chris Chelios, such as Brett Hall, players you never want to play against. Brett Hall had the shot.
Gritty.
He scored. Brendan Shanahan, he was a gritty player. He could score. He could fight you. He could physically wear you down. And Chelios was just an absolute pest. However, but once it came to your team, you loved him to death. That is Matthew Tkachuk to me. I hate him as a player, Brad Marchand. I'll tell you right now, Brad Marchand, can't stand him.
Yeah.
Can't stand him whatsoever.
You'd love to have him on your team.
However, if he came to Detroit, I'd welcome him with open arms. I'd let him stay at my house. I'd cook him breakfast.
You'd show him the nice spots of Detroit, I would think.
I would show him all the elegant spots of Detroit. I would take him to Lafayette, Coney Island, put a couple down his throat.
Yeah.
Let him
Take
eat
the
some
Millers is better.
I'd take him to Miller's, get him a burger. Maybe I'll take him to
Legends.
I'll take him to Legends
and Vanilla King. I'm not messing with Bazooki, so you can just forget about it, Mr. Corey. We're going to Legends. Bazooki. Ooh, no. Go ahead.
I would take him to Evie's and get him some tamales.
Absolutely.
I'd take him to Mott's, get him a couple burgers. But yeah, that's him. It's like you hate to play against him, but if he was in your team, you'd love to have him there.
He gets under your skin.
Oh yeah,
and he just seems to be in the right place at the right time.
I hear that name, it just irritates me. But with that being said, with that being said, yes, were the Panthers a wild card team? Yes, they were a wild card team. But let me tell you this:
they've got a great goalie.
They have a great team.
Yeah,
their record does not. Their record is not an indication of what type of what team they are, or the regular season. Yeah, they struggled to get in, absolutely. But from top down, they have a solid team. They have an absolute solid team.
You got former Red Wing Stahl, who's just. I mean, he's building up the time on the ice, and he's playing against his brother, so that's giving him a little more pep, and it's been fun to watch him play.
Some bragging rights, but yeah, I mean, so they're up 2-0. They're going to be. I'm. This whole playoffs. We did this show a couple weeks ago before the playoffs started, and my two teams are already out. My two teams I had going to the finals, and the team I wanted to win.
Yeah.
Boston was out. I mean, Boston had a great regular season.
The greatest regular season in the history of the NHL.
Yeah.
What does that mean? That's the Red Wings.
Well, and that's the thing is, we kind of talk about that is, that one year the Red Wings, they won 64 games and they got bounced in the first round of the playoffs. It's like, yeah, you can be a President's Trophy winner, but that's what I love about the playoffs. Same thing with basketball, right?
Yep.
Miami's an 8 seed. They're absolutely just taking it to Boston. So, and that's what's good. It's good for the game. It's good for viewership all the way around. That's pretty much my thought on that. I think Florida is really showing some good stuff.
It both wins on the road
in overtime.
So they're heading back home. Which how much of a home ice is that there in Florida?
You know what? I've been to a game there, and that is probably one of the worst stadiums I've ever sat in the game at.
In what is it? Sunrise, Florida, just north.
Sunrise, Florida. There's a huge. It's right down the road from TPC Sawgrass. To be honest with you, that's where it's at. It's not far from there. There's a mall right across. It's like the mall parking lot is pretty much the parking lot to the stadium.
So they play game 3 tomorrow down in Florida with a commanding 2-0 lead. And then today you have the Vegas Golden Knights going in and doing what they did the first game. Yeah, in overtime. Boom. Oh, I'm sorry. That was the wrong clip there. That was the wrong clip. Excuse me. Let me, I'm getting a little ahead of myself here.
Need to get a better producer, I guess.
I'm telling you, I'm failing mightily. Here we go. I got the right one. Now we're got the right one. It's over. Game, set, match, overtime. Just under 2 minutes. Actually, just a little over a minute into overtime. The Knights take a commanding 2-0 lead over Dallas, who I thought Dallas was going to win this series, albeit they've had some nice comebacks.
Mm-hmm.
Game 1, they were down late. They tie it. Same goes today, and it goes to overtime. And Vegas takes off here. So the difference here, Dallas is going home. They've got a big home crowd, so they have a bit of an advantage. I don't think this series is over. I think there's definitely an opportunity for Dallas to get back into this thing and make it interesting. So what's your take on this series?
Yeah, and Dallas is a tough place to play. They do have a good fan base. It gets rowdy in there. I think the players will feed off the energy there. However, I mean, Vegas is. I'm not going to say Vegas travels well or anything like that. That the fan base is going to be there to help them out. But I think that Vegas has got some depth on their roster that really is in their favor. Not saying that Dallas doesn't. Dallas does, but I just think all the way around, I think they're just a deeper. I think they're a deeper team. I'm liking Eichel. I'm liking his play.
Yeah, it's fun to see a superstar, which he was a superstar, but he was playing in Buffalo. So, how big of a superstar was he? So it's exciting to see him going. And then real quick, they're doing this with the backup goalie.
Yes.
Hill came in, who had a very up and down regular season. So he came in I think it was game 5 against Edmonton.
It was 5.
Came in cold. There was an injury to the starter. He came in and then has been absolutely lights out ever since. So that plays into your comment a second ago, their depth.
Yeah. And, I guess, we talk about football the same way, next man up, right?
Right.
And I remember watching that game. I think you and I were watching that game together when, went down with an injury and was like, it's like that first thing we thought was like, well, that's it for Vegas,
and they were
like
down. They were down 2-0 in that game. And then, that was a shock.
Yeah. He played his ass off. So, so it's going to be interesting to see how the rest of these series shape up. I got a firm belief that, that Florida's got a good chance. I think they split. I think they're going to split in Florida.
Yeah.
But I think Florida's going to take it in 5 games.
Okay. Yeah, that seems fair. So be exciting to see the way this series transpires. Obviously, next week we'll hit on it a little further. Maybe one of these series will be over.
Maybe I'll get a chance to watch an entire game instead of just catching highlights. Right?
Yeah, for sure. So we're gonna move on to another local topic. Hey, we got Mr. Elise. Hey guys, what's up, man? Thanks for tuning in. We appreciate the loyalty here. We're going to talk about Michigan hoops and Michigan State football. What is going on with these programs? And the question is, which one's in worse shape? I mean, I think it's probably a 1 and a 1A here.
Yeah.
JP, I know you're ready. You're locked, loaded, ready to go. I'll put the graphic on the screen of the key losses per each program here. Obviously, you've got Michigan losing Caleb Love due to an admissions situation. And apparently this isn't the first player that's had to hit the portal due to that. Obviously, Hunter Dickinson, we've had conversations about this guy. I think going to Kansas is a huge mistake. We'll see. Just like Jet Howard going to the NBA and Kobe Buffkin, are these guys going to get drafted? We'll see. The bottom line is they're not with the program. It hurts them. And then you flip it over to Michigan State football. Keon Coleman, he's gone. Peyton Thorne, he gone. And Charles Brantley, he gone. You got 3 starters that played a huge role with that program. They're out of here. So what's going on, JP, with these programs?
I think they're both equally as much of a dumpster fire as the other one, as you said. Probably 1A and 1B. With Michigan, we can start with them. Of course, 18 and 16 didn't make the postseason last year. They lost all those guys you named. They added a couple guys through the transfer portal. Namari Burnett from Alabama, who averaged a whopping 5.5 points for them last year. Trey Jackson from Seton Hall, who averaged another 6.5 points last year. And they have one incoming recruit, George Washington III, real presidential.
Wait a minute. Do we know if, hold on. Do we know if, let me cue it up. Oh, I'm going to miss it. Never mind. Oh, here it is. Do we know if he chopped down a cherry tree? George Washington III, did he chop down a cherry tree?
He very may well have. But, so, yeah, you don't have a big recruiting class coming in. You missed the postseason last year. You lose out on Caleb Love for 2 admissions. Your top 3 scorers are gone. The only returning starter to note is Doug McDaniel, which, I mean, he's a serviceable player. They're probably staring 12 to 15 wins right in the face. No postseason. Probably not even an NIT invite unless something very drastic happens. Both of these guys, high-profile coaches that make a lot of money to not make the postseason and to underachieve. So I don't know. I think that this may be the one that does it for Juwan, or at least makes the hot seat even hotter.
Yeah.
Oof. And then we can go over to.
I mean, go ahead. Yeah, no, you're going to hit on it. Go ahead.
And then, we can go over to Michigan State. Another dumpster fire, 5-7. Also, no postseason. They lost Jaden Reed, 7 other starters, 16 guys to the transfer portal. They're bringing in this is going into Mel Tucker's 4th year. Everybody knows he makes a lot of money there.
$9 million.
They haven't done anything outside of Kenneth Walker, who pretty much saved that 2021 season. They haven't done anything to note the last couple of years. They're bringing in the 23rd ranked recruiting class this year. Their current 2024 recruiting class ranked 63rd in the country.
What do they got? 4 guys?
That's not a typo or an error. 63rd.
I actually have a live audio clip, not live, but an actual audio clip of Mel Tucker when he was approached here the other day. This is what he said.
I'm not fucking leaving.
And then
Mel said, I'm not leaving.
You lose Peyton Thorne and Keon Coleman. I mean, I don't know, man. It's looking dim in East Lansing, but I've seen crazier things, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah. And you hear all these Spartan fans. I'm sorry, Bislam. I know you're a Sparty fan. But they keep telling us that Tuck's coming. I mean, I'm looking. I opened the door here to the speakeasy and I'm looking. Lansing's not that far away. I don't see him. I can smell the cigar smoke, and I see all the cars, that he rents to drive on the field to try and get recruits, but I don't see him.
What about the empty cans of Coca-Cola?
How long before Tuck is going? How many more seasons before that?
Dude, they're stuck with him.
Gets flushed.
They're absolutely stuck with him. And the reason why they're stuck with him is that it was a guaranteed contract, absolutely guaranteed. And after, not only is, the program in dire straits, but you have to also realize that the university is not out of the woods yet. I mean, there's still a lot of things going on, and they just don't have buyout money to say, look, you got to go. I mean, unless you get a guy like Matt Ishbia saying, I'll buy him out because he's that terrible.
Well, he's already put money in.
But I'm saying just flat out, say, you know what, I'll burden this cost to get rid of this guy because he's really taking the program down. He's taking the university's name down because, the guy, he ain't shit. Come on, dude. No, I mean, as much as everybody wants to hose on Harbaugh for, he slept on a kid's floor, during recruiting
really
like that.
Too.
Whatever. But you know what though? But you know what though? Everybody was calling him a fraud. He's got a process. He followed his process, stayed true to his process, and now we are reaping the benefits of that process.
So
It
real
took
quick,
Mel Tucker. He's the king of the portal. He can't recruit.
yeah.
He robbed and pillaged the portal, and
Is
that's
he the
how they
king
had
of the
that one
portal,
good
though?
season. Well, at first,
Maybe
yeah,
not.
in the state of Michigan, he was.
A few years ago, yeah.
In the colleges in the state of Michigan, in the first couple of years that he was there, he was
Amir
the
Speed,
Don of
Ben
that.
Van Sumeren. That's not really the king.
Yeah.
Well,
But he played it well, and they beat Michigan. He beat Michigan the first 2 years he was there.
Kenny Walker
Yeah.
the third.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's and if they didn't have him, they weren't winning.
K9 beat us, but whatever.
So real quick, Rich, in your
Yeah.
opinion, who's in worse shape?
Oh, Michigan State football is in worse shape, I think. Michigan can get rid of Juwan Howard and not have the financial burden of getting rid of him. If they go to try to get rid of Mel Tucker to try to maybe get somebody that can straighten the program out, it's going to really put them in the hole.
Oh, I agree.
From a financial and I'm thinking finances, right? I'm thinking all financial stuff. Not only that, though, is if you got if you have his players, just up and leaving, when you have players turning and leaving that fast, it doesn't, it doesn't bode well with recruits. They're like, well, if they're coming in and turn around and taking off, who's, what's really going on there?
Okay, we just oh boy, we got some spam coming in. JP, if you can get that image out of your head, who do you think's in a worse situation right now?
I think it's Michigan basketball. I don't think that Michigan State football holds a lot of expectation. Like you said, Tucker's going into year 4. Harbaugh had 5 years of leeway. I think Tucker will get the same. Michigan basketball, I think it's just the landscape of college basketball. I mean, when you see a guy like Hunter Dickinson, who for 3 years has been an all-conference performer, leave to go to another school, I think that's more prevalent in basketball than it is in football right now. So I think it's the basketball program. They don't have anywhere to go right now, and Howard has gotten worse, progressively worse each season, and they're on the brink of imploding.
Yeah, that's a tough one. They're both
They're both bad.
They're both hot garbage.
Okay.
Inbox.
Yeah.
Thanks for blocking that shit.
Yeah, that's a no-go here. But going back to really quick, I will hit on QB.
Yeah, I'm sure you will.
Mel Tucker or Jimbo Fisher. Man, I mean, you got a situation just like our last question here, which is in better shape. I think they both are pretty much on the back end, or they're just overpriced, and obviously Jimbo Fisher has a huge buyout. So, but Texas A&M can afford. They can afford to do that buyout. So I think they give him one more year, and if not, they're going to show him the door.
Jimbo's done after this year if he doesn't.
Yeah.
College Station's a little bit different than East Lansing.
Yes, it sure is.
There's a lot of money in College Station.
Oh,
yeah, there is.
100%. So
they're at the was it they call it the Q Dairy or whatever it's called in East Lansing. That's where the money funnels in for the Spartans. There's the Quality Dairy is what it's called. There's a lot more money in College Station than there is in East Lansing.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh boy, yeah, they're both in bad shape. So, moving on, we're unveiling a new segment to the Easy Speak. We're evolving right before your eyes. It's pretty exciting. This one is called, get ready for it, Rapid Fire. So we're going to go around the table. I'm just going to throw a little word at people and quickly go around and what's your opinion? As we just talked about, Keon Coleman transferred. He goes to Florida State. JP, hit on it.
Smart, top 10 program, NFL QB prospect in Jordan Travis.
Bo Schembechler's son joins Michigan. Hold on. Recruiting team. 3 days later, I'm out. Rich, what are your thoughts on that one?
Pussy. Yeah, I mean, you got a Schembechler name. You got a lot. I mean, you got to get thick skin, right? Everybody knows about all the stuff that was surrounding Bo's legacy. Get thick skin or go crawl under a rock somewhere.
Cited concern and pain over social media activity. Very interesting.
He was probably getting roasted.
Yeah, but that's silly. But USC AD resigns, citing health concerns. Very suspicious to me. He was a very key component to USC going to the Big Ten. What do you think about that, JP?
Yeah, USC going to the Big Ten and bringing in Lincoln Riley. I mean, the guy's 62 years old. If he's got plenty of money, if he wants to spend time with his family, so be it.
Okay. Little off topic, sports related. One of the greatest video game franchises of all time, NCAA football, is coming back for the 2024 season. Just came out this week that FBS players are going to be eligible to be a part of the game. They basically have to submit to the game, which is pretty cool. It's going to give some players that maybe not get a lot of notoriety, going to get some notoriety. Rich, will you buy this game?
Absolutely.
Is this something that, and mind you, the last player that was on the cover was Shoelace, so it's going to be exciting. So you said you'll buy the game.
There's not, without a shadow of doubt, I'm going to buy this game. I mean, this was instrumental in your childhood. I mean, you had a choice between Madden and college football. It was always college football. What was cool about it is I think that as a kid growing up, you'd always create your own player, and your own player was the quarterback of whatever college you wanted it to be.
With a 4.0
GPA. Of course, you can't make it being 2.0. So you obviously got to make it. But, absolutely, for sure. I think it's about time that these players really cash on their name, image, and likeness. And everybody has been dying to have this game come back out again. And I look forward to playing it, and I'll probably buy it on both platforms, PS5 and Xbox, because that's what my kids probably want. So
yeah,
but that's what I want too. So
JP hit on that. Are you excited for this relaunch? And it will be something that you will purchase.
Absolutely. I'll come out of retirement. I currently don't have a game system right now, but for that one, I will. And I will be importing all the draft classes to Madden.
That's awesome. Yeah, looking forward to that one. Let's see here. QB1 Virginia Tech speed option. Yeah. You had Vic was a part of that, or was he?
Vic was before that. Yeah, Vic was way before that.
It was announced this week that the 49ers are set to host Super Bowl 60. They just recently hosted the Super Bowl at Levi Stadium a couple years ago. JP, is this a Super Bowl a good fit for Northern California?
I suppose. I mean, it's obviously a corporate event now. It's not affordable for the everyday people. So, yeah, it's a fit because nobody's going to be able to afford to go there, and tickets will probably be upwards of $10K a piece or better.
Oh boy, yeah, that's a good point. Also this week, I know we don't hit on it very often, but we will be coming up soon as more fights get underway during our shows. Poirier, Justin Gaethje 2 going to take place in Salt Lake City for UFC 291. Rich, are you excited about this potential fight? And will you be present in the speakeasy while it is being broadcasted?
Question one. Yeah, I'm kind of excited to see it. Justin Gaethje, he's always a draw. He always performs, puts on good fights. I don't think he's going to win, but I'll be there to watch it. And I'm excited to see actually some more UFCs and kind of get back into it, and kind of took a hiatus from it. But yeah, I'm looking forward to definitely catching that fight.
JP, I know you're a UFC guy. What are your thoughts on that matchup?
Yeah, so they're going to unretire Jorge Masvidal's bad motherfucker title for this fight. Rematch from 2018 was the fight of the year. Obviously, Poirier won by TKO. Poirier is kind of hot right now, 4 of his last 5. I think Gaethje's more desperate for a win. He's lost a couple. It's going to be fireworks. I'm super excited to see this.
Yeah, that's going to be a good one. It's going to be a good brawl. So that was awesome. Rapid fire. It wasn't as rapid, but we'll hit on it. We'll improve it a little bit. Maybe add some sound in the background to give it a little bit more pizzazz. So moving on. Last week, obviously, if you watched or listened, we talked Mexican food, which was an awesome, awesome segment. We had so much fun for that. But this week we decided, hey, you know what? Summer's right around the corner. What's happening next week? We got Memorial Day weekend coming up. And what time of year does that mean? Ladies and gentlemen, it is. Oh, did we lose? What happened here? Oh, we just went blank for a second, but we're back. Anyways, I don't know what happened there. I apologize. It is the best outdoor patio bar that we're looking for. We did a post on Twitter looking for some recommendations, as we had done in the past with the food recommendations, and we got some good ones here. Laura Bagley, 4. She came in hot with 3 of them. Mike's on the Water, Zeph's in the Shores, and Cabana Blue. Obviously, she's an East Sider, so she represented. Our good buddy Jimmy Friedel, Boat Bar in Ortonville. I have heard the lovely Christina has mentioned that is a cool place we need to check out. And then he went with Breeze Estate Winery up there in Traverse City. Gotta love the peninsula up there. Last time we went, JP was with us, but he was passed out from a heavy night of drinking the night before. So Christina and I made the jaunt to the peninsula. Only made it through 2 wineries. We couldn't go any further because little cuckoo. And then our good buddy Dan, our Phoenix, Arizona representative, who is coming to Detroit and might actually throw out the first pitch. There are rumors of that happening. We'll have to get down there for that one. That would be awesome. He's going old school, Corktown, Nemo's. That's a cool place. Great place for tailgating as well. And then Go Blue Forever mentioned It's a Matter of Taste in Commerce. That's right there on the lake. Really cool place. I've heard a lot of good things about that. I know it was recently closed, but it's reopened since. So, Rich, will start.
There were some solid choices right there.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the St. Clair Shores ones, I think they've changed names since, but I used to, obviously, I'm from the East Side originally, so I have made a couple stops in those places. Very
that explains a lot.
Right on the lake, really cool place you can take your boat to. So, Rich, what's a patio bar or an outdoor type of venue that you look forward to?
Well, I got 2 like right off the top of my head. I actually probably 3 right off the top of my head. Probably the first one is closer out by where we're at, Tom. Zuki Lake Tavern is always a good one. Yeah. It's right on Zuki Lake. It's got a patio up top. Good food. I mean, it's your traditional bar fare. Nothing special.
But you can't order French fries up on the patio, which is
I can't understand that. You can't get them up there. It's kind of weird, but whatever. Zuki Lake is always a good choice out by us. Even though it's right next to the expressway, Captain Joe's, I like sitting outside there. It's a good place. Their food is good. They got their menu is probably like 7 pages long. So if you can't find something to eat there, you have a problem.
Their menu has shrunk down a little bit. So
okay.
It's not as big there.
I haven't been there this year yet, but last year I am. And then, for downtown, I like Brew Detroit, even though it's really, all you look at is a couple other buildings.
Yeah.
But it's nice. They got good food. They got good beer.
Oh yeah.
And then there used to be some places in Dearborn, but I think it closed down. So I'm not even going to mention that. But other than that, I mean, those are my spots. Really, I think are good, top-notch places to visit.
Cool. JP, what you got?
I wanted to second Zuki Lake Tavern that Rich said. That's a good one. And then I'm kind of vanilla here. I'm a sucker for a good sports atmosphere, so I went with the tin roof. And right next door, you can throw a rock at Comerica Park. Me, Tom, and Christina actually met there before Miggy's 3000s hit last year, and it was electric, man. I love those atmospheres.
We had
it's fun.
A friend of ours that was with us that was maybe drinking a little bit too much during that game. They didn't make it through the whole thing.
Go figure.
So tin roof.
Yeah.
That was one of my. I'm going to use an old radio phrase here that y'all both stole my thunder. Oh, sound the siren.
Yeah.
I will stay downtown. I like Harry's. Harry's upstairs is really good. I've been frequent to Harry's since the beginning, since before the cat was out of the bag for the free parking.
That's the reason why you go there is because you go there, drink a beer, and get free parking.
Sometimes that is the case. But it's worth going. But and obviously Zuki Lake is great.
Yeah.
South Lion Hotel right in town here has a really good patio, so that's a good place. So yeah, I mean, there's some really cool places around town, and you're starting to see a lot more establishment going down that route because they know people don't want to be inside in the bar when it's a beautiful day. And if they don't have the ability to go out on the water or go on a motorcycle ride or whatever the case may be, they just want to go and sit outside and enjoy the weather and have a drink or two or more. So you're seeing a lot more places going that route, which is great. I mean, it's great for business. It keeps the bars and restaurants really going when it comes to the summer seasons when generally people are out and about and not really going into the bars very often. So definitely some good ideas, good submissions, and I want to thank everybody that participated on Twitter. Don't forget to go give us a follow on Twitter at EasySpeakCast. So that's generally where we put our questions out. So moving on to one of our favorite parts of the show. Yes, it is. It's time for Ain't My Money. JP?
Not my problem.
There we go. Obviously, this is a segment where we give you our bet that we think might hit and hope you go ahead and take our advice, throw some money down, and win some money, and then maybe give us a little kickback or two or a follow. We'd appreciate that. But, Rich, since this is your first show back fully here in the last couple of weeks, we're going to start with you. Hey, what's your pick for this week's Ain't My Money? Not your problem.
Jesus. I'll be honest with you. I didn't even get a chance to research it, so I'm actually on FanDuel.
Drew.
I'm on FanDuel right now.
All right, Drew.
Hey, you're welcome, guys.
Hey, you go and research, and I'm going to take it to somebody who I know researched this. JP, hey, it ain't your money. It's not your problem. What do you got?
I went to the NBA Finals Game 4 tomorrow. I like Jamal Murray over 26.5 and Anthony Davis over 26.5 at plus money 240.
Well, if anyone has been paying attention to JP's picks, they have been hitting. So word to the wise, take his advice, get on the app, make a bit, and I think you'll be happy with the result. Rich, are you ready?
All right, Rich. All right. Yeah, I'm going to stick with
it. It ain't your money. It's not your money. So it's not your problem. What do you got?
It is not my problem. So just cruising FanDuel, parlay, 4-leg parlay, Jamal Murray over 7.5, Anthony Davis over 7.5, LeBron over 5.5 first quarter. This is all first quarter points, by the way. Oh. And Djokovic 7.5 points in the first quarter. It's a plus 1486.
Oh wow!
I'd put 10 on it.
Okay. Yeah, that's a
It's all first quarter stuff.
That's a pretty good pick for your quick research there, Rich.
Pay that man his money.
I'm telling you, if you decide to go with that pick,
Oh, you didn't know? Your ass better call somebody.
oh yeah, get on the phone, make that bet. My bet this week for obviously it's not my money, so it ain't my problem. I think it's the consensus is we're staying in Denver. I'm going money line plus 140. This series is done. I don't trust LeBron. I think you're going to find out at the end of this series that there was something wrong with him with his ankle. No bench. He's just not getting enough help like we talked about earlier. And obviously Anthony Davis, which if you're smart, you're going to take JP's pick. It's been the only one to show up. So I like Denver to close out. Well, JP took Anthony Davis to go plus over 26. So that's the regard I'm talking about. So
I'm just kidding.
Take Denver money line plus 140. I think this series done. I think Denver goes and finishes it off there in LA. So with that being said, we're going to move on to some closing thoughts. And again, Rich, you first night back in a couple weeks, like I said a few minutes ago, we're going to let you go first. You got some closing thoughts?
No, I'm gonna drew it. No, I'm just kidding. No, I mean, I've been watching the socials and everything like that, and I do really appreciate the shares, the likes, the comments. I read them all. My phone goes off. I read them all. It's good to see the interaction with people. I will say I didn't get a chance to really talk about my selections on the Mexican food places, but I shared with you guys before the show is at El Pastor tacos at La Bamba in Lincoln Park is dynamite.
That's where I'll be going.
You got to go with the carne asada fries. You can't go wrong. So, but yeah, I just wanted to touch on that. But no, I mean, everything's going good. Thanks you guys for holding down the fort for the last couple of weeks in my absence. I still plan on getting back into the swing of things. I'll probably have a little more time coming up here to do a little more research than I have been doing, but everything's good.
Awesome. Yeah. I mean, get that submission in, like, you weren't here last week. Perfect time for the closing thoughts to get that in. And hopefully people take you up on that advice. I know I'm expecting a takeout here from there on one of these days. On your way home.
Believe me. Well, if you want, you could see the pic. I posted pictures on Instagram and tagged our JP and I, a good buddy there, Chow Down Detroit, and told me he's got to check it out. So
JP, I always look forward to this segment because you bring a lot of passion to this closing thoughts, and it really hammers it home. So, what do you got this week?
Well, I'll tell you what, that was a tough act to follow. Okay, in honor of Mental Health Awareness Month here, I'm going to talk about overcoming negativity and changing your mindset. I actually have a quote from the late Earl Nightingale, and it goes, "We plant in our subconscious whatever we plant in our subconscious mind and nourish with repetition and emotion will one day become a reality." So, message to everybody to keep going, stay positive. And we can do it. We can make it happen.
Man, and that's going to lead into my closing thoughts.
It hits you right here.
Oh man, I met JP probably. That's been what, 6-7 years ago. Yeah, we worked together, and the growth that
get the tissues out.
Yeah, well, maybe the growth that I've seen from this young man. It's been unbelievable. He's now a father, which looking back, I mean, we've had conversations before, like, I've made it so long and I'm not a father yet. I've never been a father, stepfather. But just to see the growth that he has made, not only in his personal life, in his professional life as well, and then joining on this podcast that has just taken it beyond a level that I couldn't have even imagined. So I'm very thankful for that. And I couldn't be any more proud of the man that you have become, JP. And I know, you and Melissa are an unbelievable team, and you're going to raise a daughter that's just going to grow up to be a wonderful young lady. And I'm proud to call you my friend. I'm proud that you're part of this show. And just so excited about the opportunities that we have, the three of us, as the Easy Speak goes on. Looking back to where Rich and I started, we were just doing audio, to where we are now. It's just it's awesome, and you're going to help take us and put us over the top. And I'm thrilled, and I think the world of you, JP, and very proud, very proud. So I'm going to say it again, even though Christine will probably hold me out. With that being said, we're gonna look forward to.
Eyes are sweating.
Yes. We're gonna look forward to. Well, he is a great dad. Yep. Oh, look at that. I'm not the only one, so that's awesome. That's awesome. We are going to do a show next week. I know it's a weekend. It's a holiday weekend, so we're going to be on next Sunday. I am going to bring on who, I'll just say it. He is still my nephew. He was a nephew from my many moons ago. We'll just say that. He's grown up to be a pretty cool young man. He's got a nice little story. Big fan. He loves the show. Got a message from his dad. Said he really wants to come on and be a part. And so we're going to do that for him. Drew, ironically enough, his name's Drew. So we're going to have him on. We're going to talk some football. We're going to talk some basketball. So we're going to have him on. So looking forward to that. Obviously, the NHL series are going to spin out. Maybe they'll be done. Maybe we'll have an idea who's going to be in the Stanley Cup Finals. And obviously, as the week goes, more news will come out, and we'll talk about it. We're kind of like the John Oliver of sports podcasts here at the end of the week. We have all week to ingest sports topics, and we get to bring it to you guys. And obviously, like we led off the show, so happy and so grateful for everyone that's kind of been a part of this thing. The likes, the follows, and this and that, the submissions, it's been great. And it's only going to get better with your help. So obviously, tell everybody, tell your friends, tell your families, give us a shot. Look for our reels that we're putting out. Go give us a follow because it helps us out. It helps get the word out to everybody else so we can grow, keep growing. And Brandon, thank you so much for that. Appreciate that. We'll talk to you tomorrow as he's part of the Reckless Speculation crew. But every like, every follow helps, and we definitely appreciate it. So we are going to close this show out today. Again, I appreciate everybody that took part today, the submissions and the comments, and we look forward to doing this again. So we will see you guys next week. Thank you for listening to another episode of Easy Speak at Speakeasy 330. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. You can also catch us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. We look forward to catching you right back here next week for another fun-filled episode of Easy Speak at Speakeasy 330.